Okay. So, hi everyone. Welcome to another edition of An Astrologer's Calling, and where we talk about your favorite astrologers, how they ended up doing what they're actually doing, and we'll just explore their inspirational journals with a little bit journeys, sorry, with a little bit more of a personal slant. And today I have the absolutely glorious Venus manifestation of Dr. Stormie Grace, who is an evolutionary and humanistic astrologer, teacher, and soul-led business mentor. She has a thriving YouTube channel, and her crowd-funded YouTube Astrology Academy provides free astrology classes taught by astrologers from around the world. And she's been a global consultant since 2014. Stormie holds a doctorate of business, helping creative entrepreneurs build their own profitable and impactful businesses through her business school, Legacia Academy. I hope I said that right. And she's a member of OPA, ISA, NCGR, and a contributor to the Evolving Astrologer. I'm sure there's a whole load more about Stormie as well. So let's find out. So, Stormie, tell me how you were first called into astrology, how it found you, or how you found it.
Yeah, that's always so amazing to think back about it. Now I've just crossed into my 40s, so when I think back to this moment, it's like, wow, it's magical to see where the journey's been. But it was, I think, very Saturn responsible because I was 6'7", right there, coming to that first Saturn square, and my mother just realized I was seeing and experiencing the world a bit differently than some people in our family, and she took me to my first metaphysical fair. And it was great because, I was like, oh, yeah, these are definitely my people in the herbs and the numerology and all of these beautiful things that happen in those spaces. And I wasn't called to any of them. And then we went to a woman's booth and she was doing an astrology chart by hand. And I was just watching her do it. And I realized, even at, right there in that age, I was 6'7", just right there. I realized I wasn't watching her do it. I was doing it with her and I was just watching as she was doing it. Like I had done this 100,000 times, no big deal. I mean, as comfortably as I am as an active professional now is how I felt then. And it was a realizing that I was like, oh, I think I've already done this in a life
Yeah.
sometime. It just wasn't surprising. And that was it. That was how astrology and I kind of came back consciously together. But even before that, I had always been attracted to things in 12s. I always had 12 of something, or I would always say, no, there's only 11. I need to have 12. And these were not, they just were not very conscious things to me. And now today I laugh because I'm like, oh, yeah, of course I'm attracted to 12s. I do everything in 12s now. But so that's how we came back together, but it wasn't this like, crashing in. It was very subtle. It was very everyday. It just was not a moment that was like, this is life changing
Mhm,
for me.
mhm, mhm.
The life changing came at my Saturn return when the universe made it very, very clear that I was not only going to leave this work that I was doing that I loved, but that I was actually going to start my practice and like come out. And I started Stormie Grace just in absolute tears and shock and horror. And I'm a Taurus, and I was like, I'm gonna starve and die. These are very important things to me, you know. And that is how it officially, I think, came online for me and got me moving in the astro space. So Saturn seems to be very much so in charge of my career.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's really interesting because sometimes there can be this, well, a fear of Saturn, the archetype. And I'm quite a Saturnian person and I love Saturn. And I think
Mhm.
Saturn really, really brings gifts if we're open to it and open to being brave enough to accept the challenges that Saturn brings. And I appreciate it's perhaps not the case for everyone. But I do think Saturn gets a bit of a hard knock sometimes. And it's like any planet, it has light and shadow. And I don't always think Saturn's more positive side is embraced, so to speak. Perhaps it comes from like the very ancient, traditional,
Yeah.
malefic perspective of Saturn. But I think it's lovely that you've said that because Saturn obviously has provided that structure, and if you're quite Taurus, you're sort of resonate with the earthiness of Saturn, of course, so.
Yeah, Saturn to me, I'm with you. I think that Saturn's gotten quite a bad rep, but I do preface that by saying I have a Capricorn South node. So I think I've probably been comfortable with Saturn for a very long time. And I realize as a human being, the experience of Saturn can be quite doubtful and
Yeah,
fear-laden.
yeah,
Um, but also, my experience of Saturn has been the weight of whatever it hands me. I come
yeah.
out expertly, or I am able to demonstrate expertise. And so, in that way, I too like Saturn.
Mhm.
But I also think of Saturn. Have you ever seen the movie Moana?
Yeah, yeah.
I love that. This is so funny. Jupiter and Cancer. So let's talk about grandma. Um, I think of Saturn like the grandma in that movie, and it's a way that I can hold more space because, Moana is coming to her and she's saying, no, no, I'm not going to do this other thing, but I'm kind of hearing this whisper of going to the water, going someplace different, and my parents are telling me not to do this. And the grandma, in the one scene, she's supposed to be at the tribe meeting and she's not. She's over at the water and she's being in her space, and Moana finds her and she says, sometimes we're called to something that's even older that we've forgotten. And
Mhm.
maybe that's what you're meant to do. And she's, this holder of wisdom that I think is Capricornian and
Yeah.
Saturnian energy that is not always needing to be in control, and it helps you navigate doubt
Mhm.
with wisdom of legacy and expertise as well. And then we see, Moana go on to say, yeah, my calling is of our people that's
Mhm.
even older than my parents. And it was what was perfect. So I think of that Saturnian Capricornian energy in that way as well. It's very wise. It's
Oh,
heavy,
incredibly
but
wise. Yeah, and if you're holding it, it's almost like a legacy. You're
yeah.
holding a legacy and carrying that legacy, which is really quite beautiful. So, speaking of Jupiter and Cancer, I was going to ask you how, astrology has impacted you on a personal level. And I know you're a mum, I'm a mum. So I'm really curious as to how astrology has influenced you as a parent and your understanding, that parent-child dynamic.
Yeah, 1,000%. Well, I mean, just all the way through and through,
Mhm.
because when they were born, I have two girls, and when they were born, I, pulled charts for them
Mhm.
just to kind of like, okay, what are we working with? And because I'm an evolutionary and a humanistic astrologer, one of the first things I wanted to know is what's the soul story that is coming in here. And that is, I say that with a very gentle gaze. Like, I have no idea what the actual plan or story is. I'm not in charge of that. But to get a bit of a view of, okay, what might this little human be coming to work on, because I'm going to be a part of participating in that. So, and one of the first things that I did besides looking at the nodes and those things is I spend a lot of time in the lunar phasing, because I think it tells us more before we've even cracked open that chart. So I needed to know the temperament of my children in general so that I could help them in the best way possible. And when they were younger, it was, just a bit different. They're kind of gooey at that time, and then they grow into it. And it has been the most impactful thing from the time that they were teenagers to now they are in their adulthood. And the way I have been able to help them shape their lives and challenge what the world has said. My youngest is a last quarter energy. She's very low. She's very slow. She needs to reset many times a day. And at least in the United States, the world does not allow for that. You need to go, 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 go,
Yeah.
go, 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 go. And so I've helped her to challenge reality and say, yeah, maybe you are genuinely a kind of person who functions better 2 p.m. and beyond, and you
Mhm.
need to take on something. And so in that way, astrology has been an absolute tool to help me help my children, and it extends out to my husband as well. He's very like non-woo.
Yeah.
And once we got together and I was doing his chart and I could have a conversation with him and allow him to be seen too, it helped him shape his day and his life differently. So I think in a way, it allows for innovation and a lot of pretty radical accountability as well to say I'm living at a pace that is not right for how I'm made,
Mhm.
or I can do more here, so it's just shaped in allowing, I think, compassion for myself and my children and what they're doing, what they need to do.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's really beautiful, particularly regarding the lunar phases, because I think they're often overlooked in a
Yeah.
natal chart. It's like everyone pulls up a natal chart and wants to dive into that aspect, that placement.
Yeah.
And the lunar phase tells you so much, so much. It's so simple, but on it gives such a deep layer of insight into the chart.
Mhm.
But you're right. And I think if you I think understanding your child's natal setup brings a sense of objectivity as well. I think it gives you that ability to stand back and go, right, okay, that's a very different outlook and placement to mine, but I understand where you're coming from. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to diminish it. I'm going to support it and hopefully bring out the best qualities within that. And I often wonder myself, and you've probably thought the same, if I'd been a mum but didn't know anything about astrology,
Yeah.
I think my reactions to my son would have been probably quite different. Yeah, in all
Yeah.
honesty, yeah.
Oh, I absolutely think that. My oldest
Yeah.
daughter, and I love seeing the family signatures, anyways, in charts, how everybody fits together. I mean, because they're just divine. You're like, no, I get it. But my oldest daughter, the first baby, she has got um, a moon Saturn conjunction in Cancer in the fourth. And I just remember and she's a Sag. And I just remember looking at her chart, and my first thought, it was honestly like an offering to the universe. I was like, I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to do the best I can because I was like, this is a lot. It can be intense, or, what could happen. And we have it in our dynamic where it can be easy for my earthiness to overpower her fire,
Yeah.
especially as the parent, and being aware of that placement, giving her more space to how do you feel about that? But how, kind of
Mm-hmm.
handing that box back to her. And then as she got older, realizing how much she was going to place on me as she worked things out. That even if I was not the source of that resentment or that fear, that she was like gonna blame the mother. And and that I could kind of take that while she worked it out,
Yeah.
realizing I'm like, it's not me,
Yeah.
but my name, my title, my association with that particular placement
Yeah.
can, can handle it, right?
Yeah.
And it's been absolutely true, and this is what I'm saying, looking at a baby's chart who's now going to be 22. And it
Hmm.
has, because what this could have been was mother-daughter drama,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Or
Right?
yeah, or lack of closeness or lack of affection, all of those. Yeah.
All of those things. Yeah. And my youngest is a Sun Saturn conjunction in Leo in the eighth. And I was like, oof, we'll be fine.
So it's so funny as when my mum seeing what we're going to be birthed, gifted with in a child
Yeah.
at the child and going, oh, don't
Yeah.
don't know if I can work with that. It's so funny. We're talking about Saturn because I'm a Capricorn moon. And my son has Moon Saturn conjunction in Libra. It's the tightest aspect in the chart, and it's square Mercury. So whenever I'm having to sort of be the tough mother, I just sit there and go, "Oh my God, I'm just acting like that Saturn Mercury Moon square that's going on." I just know I'm manifesting it. But
Mm,
there's a lovely supportive sextile to Venus in Sagittarius. And
okay.
that just soothes everything, and it just sort of like shows where all the tough mothering is kind of heading. I think, I hope, I don't know.
And I think that's like that's just the human part, right?
Of
Is like
course.
we have astrology to kind of help us do the best that we can and maybe
Yeah.
even do a little bit better than we would be doing out there on
Yeah.
our own.
Yeah.
But like who still knows, right? Like who knows? Because we've seen some charts in just classes and examples where it's like, well, if you look at the chart through this lens, this looks like an awesome person to engage with. And then you find out what they did with that chart and you're like, maybe less, you know?
Hmm.
So who knows? But I'm glad that I have it as a tool.
Yeah, yeah. It's a gift. I think it's the universe has gifted us. And just to be able to access that layer of insight, I think helps us perhaps navigate life's challenges in a I don't know, better way, but we can perhaps just understand, the road we're on and the bumps and the dips and
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
1000%. And I mean, like just even learning the moon signs
Mhm.
was really big for us too, because my youngest daughter is already a Leo, Sun, Saturn, and she's a Capricorn rising, which just, I mean, she's just, I have to tell her all the time. I'm like, you have to not look at people like they owe you money. Like no one owes you money, right? Like that is my whole thing with her. But she's also got a Taurus moon. I'm like, oof, this is but knowing that from the time that she was little, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to just be able to tell her something and she's
Mhm.
going to snap into action about it
Mhm.
and we're going to get on with it. And so I've known that with her forever. I would offer her a whatever way before time that we needed to do it or execute it
Yeah,
because I knew, and astrology gave me that gift.
yeah.
And with my oldest, I know if I told her something, she's probably gonna she needs to cry. Honestly, she's very like stereotypical Cancerian placement. She needs to cry and have her feelings through it, and then we could get on with it.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know, my
yeah.
husband has a Virgo moon, and I'm like, okay, he has to be with whatever I tell him, which is a big deal, I think, too, in a marriage, right?
Hmm.
Like, how is your partner able to engage this relationship? Because I have seen love die so many times when it was not necessary, but
Hmm.
it was misunderstanding.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, in every way, I think astrology can save families.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Especially when there's certain threads or certain planets being played out through the generations. And it's like
Mhm.
similar stories being played out. And I think if you can come in with that extra bit of insight, it kind of helps the story perhaps evolve in a more positive direction.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
agree. And it helps people. I'm like, you're here to do a journey, just like I'm here to do a journey. How can I help you the best
yeah,
with
yeah,
that particular thing?
yeah,
And
yeah.
there, my oldest, my North Node is in Cancer. She's got her moon and her Saturn sitting right on my North Node. Like she is literally meant to help me learn and
Hmm.
to go, that direction with her. And
Hmm.
like again, my youngest and the youngest, I'm a youngest. So I know like there's a vibe. We have a vibe, but my youngest, her ascendant sits at my South Node. So we get on.
Yeah, yeah, meant to be. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful. So, another thing I'm really fascinated by, I've got a Capricorn moon, is your business model. You're, really wanting to put this out there about valuing ourselves and that it's not wrong to have abundance. And, we should be able to build a good business model and be remunerated properly for the skills that we've spent years and years honing. And so I really, really love that. Do you have anything you'd want to share regarding that?
Ah, just everything. Yes, I do. I'm very, very excited about it. And it does come from having, so much of this South Node in Capricorn lit up for years and years and years. And my school is actually called Legatia Academy because Legatia means legacy in Latin. And it's just that whatever the career field is, particularly though for astrologers and creative people, because I can't think of how many times I've heard one of my elders say, they went to a dinner party and people said, "What did you do?" And they said, "I'm an astrologer." And they're kind of this like woo-woo,
Mm-hmm.
interesting thing at the party. And I'm like, we're not party favors. We're using astrology to save families. We have an actual skill here And for that skill, we first of all can pass it on in legacy, but the legacy also has to be, how do I take this skill and build it in a wonderful way and earn well with it? And
Mhm.
I am so absolutely committed to bringing that out and bringing that into the mindset of all creative people, whether it's astrology, tarot, symbols. Like, what do you do that is a skill?
Mhm.
And because you're going to go out and you're going to use skills, other skills that you've earned for someone else
Mhm.
and earn with that, so how do we bring this as a responsible spiritual model out into the world? And particularly astrology is like, we're cool and then we're not, and we're hot and then we're not. That's just our history.
Yeah.
That's our history. But I don't think that the world's ever been as open in a collective way as it is today.
Mhm.
So I'm definitely behind showing people, okay, here's how you just build a practical business model and then drop your skills into it. And the other reason I'm so passionate about this, honestly, is because it's like you never want to have one doctor in the village. There are too many people out there that need and can use help. And
Mhm.
there's a lot of us with this skill. So if we're sitting back pretending we don't have it, or we are going to get burnt out with it, trying to use it in the wrong way, that's not something that I think is useful for our collective either. We
Mhm.
could be
Mhm.
helping each other.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love the practical side of that, but it's just well, it's common sense. Whenever all the skills that you have, you should be able to be remunerated. It's as simple as that, and build a model and be taken as seriously as, for example, a medical doctor or any other form of professional out there,
That's
or
right.
anyone in a position, a managerial position, a corporate position.
Yeah,
If you're building a viable business, you've got the qualifications, you've got the experience, you've got the CV there. There's, you should absolutely be able to build that into a business model. So I'm totally behind you there. I think it's great that this is really being spoken about in the astrological world, and you're pushing it forward. Yeah,
yeah. But sometimes I
absolutely
can I can feel
brilliant.
like I'm out there with my little "let's make money" sign, and people are like, "run from her," and I'm like, "You can for a while," and then
Mhm.
eventually. But what I get excited about thinking about today too is that Pluto is now in Aquarius. We are giving birth to our next generation of astrologers. Now, some
Yeah.
of them are over the age of 40, but some of them are going to be these babies. And I'm like, our next astrologers and creative people need a sustainable career field and model to come into, because
Yeah.
that's how those souls are made,
Yeah.
right? So we've got to lead the way, not just in the technique, but also in how do you structure it? How do you pay the taxes? How do you hire and build teams? Like, we get to be world builders for
Yeah.
those to come. Like, this makes me emotional to talk about because it's very exciting.
No, no, you're absolutely right. And it's about bringing credibility to what should be classed as a profession. And we know it's a profession. This is what we do every day, but it's not always seen as such from people who aren't so familiar with astrology. I remember years ago, very early in my astrological career, and some of my friends and family completely bought into it, were very supportive, some were very dismissive. And one family member said one day, "Oh, how's your fortune telling going?"
Oh,
Yeah, exactly. And I just thought, I'm not even going to explain to you what I actually do, because you're never ever going to be open to
right.
understanding that I work and look at socio-economic, political trends, the mundane stuff. I just thought there's no point, but that stays with me. And actually, it just made me more determined
Hmm.
to carry on building my career and doing it as professionally as possible. We owe it
Yeah.
to ourselves to do that. Yeah.
We do, and I think that we owe it to our elders and to all of us who've ever received those kinds of statements for what we do, right? And I think about one of my teachers, Stephen Forrest. This was just not an option. He's done very well, but this to be out this way and to not just be the dinner party conversation was, it just wasn't, the world wasn't ready for that at that time. And today it's like, nope, I'm gonna do it because you couldn't.
Mhm. Yeah, 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 absolutely, absolutely. And we need more of that, definitely. Or just the encouragement to, just even just sharing this conversation and and any budding astrologers out there hearing this, if it just inspires one or two of them to think, actually, I really am going to build a proper business around this. Yeah, job done. Job
Job
done.
done. That's
Yeah.
right.
It's
Yay.
about valuing ourselves, isn't it? And
It
what
is.
we
And
do.
we have value houses in our chart as astrologers. We can't
Hmm.
pretend like, how many times do people come and we need to talk about money? We need to talk money, value, finance, but in a very material way. So we
Hmm.
can't pretend like this isn't a part of our realm as well. It's like, yeah, I'm so glad that you can meditate until you're, gray, but you don't have any money. Like we have to talk about this section of your chart, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And so trying to make it real and de-shaming people for not having
Hmm.
had these conversations as well, because the world maybe just wasn't ready, or the
Hmm.
person wasn't ready to have that conversation. So I think to make it valuable, make it credible, but also make it like, hey, this is a whole axis in your chart. We need
Yeah.
to really
Yeah.
get on with it.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. And, there's other religions and other, cultures that value abundance. But the more good karma you have, the more abundance you're going to have. And it seems to be more of a Western sort of
Yeah.
concept, isn't it? That, perhaps we don't deserve abundance, so
Yeah, it has been bred into the culture of most, I think, English speaking places, because
yeah.
that's where I found if there is primarily English there, there is this weirdness with the vibration of money. But you can just do what I do and move to another country where they're like, yeah, no,
Relocate.
I moved to a completely Venusian place where they're like, yeah, of course that's valuable. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh, this is great.
I love it. I love it. So tell me about your typical working day, Stormy, if you have a typical working day.
I do. Oh my God, I'm a Taurus and I'm a Virgo rising. I have a typical working day. And honestly, I laugh when I say that, but I do have a typical working day because I have seen when I put some systems into my life, the goals that I want to achieve are achievable.
Yeah.
When I was all over the place, it was too much. Plus, I'm in perimenopause, so I don't have time for a lot of things harshing my mellow. You know what I mean? And anybody listening, if you know, you know. So, typically, I get up. I'm a very early morning gym person, and I go and I do that, and I get my little workout and lift weights out of the way. And for me, it is, it's me time. It's super
Mhm.
duper me time in that way because I'm the weakest of my characters in my body. Honestly, I struggle the most to do that. So it's a very focused spiritual time for me to go do what I see helps my body do what it needs to do. And it's always early, early in the day. Like I'm one of those people with my fingertips on the glass being like, please open the gym now so I can go in, nice and early.
Mm.
Um, and then from there, I'm like eating and doing normal things to get prepared and to get ready. And then I'm a content creator. So I create a lot of content. And, I could probably, I don't want to, but I could die today and people would be like 3 months from now, think I'm living my best life because content is created. They'd be like, gosh, Stormie's having such a great time. But it's because there's a flow of staying ahead of trends and it's staying ahead of things. And then I see less clients now because I do more group work at this time in my career, teaching more with GAFA, which is my astrology school, which is being built, and it's all about astrological fluency.
Mhm.
So I'm in that and helping students with that. But then I'm in Legatia Academy now too, which is continuing to grow and having more creative people come in and learn to build the systems in their business. So I'm usually working in one of those areas during the day, and I work maybe about 3, 4 hours a day. And
Mhm.
then I go and do my family life and let that be that. And in the meantime, I have another YouTube channel where I just teach people, talk to people. I don't teach them, I just talk about what
Mhm.
it's like to expat. What does it look like to make a different decision with where you want to live in your life? And I do that just for fun and for free. And I do it on my little medicine ball so I can roll my hips. And, I'm just very Taurian. I'm very Venusian
Yeah.
in the way that my day goes. You
Yeah,
know,
I think that's wonderful. It sounds like you have the right balance for you. It sounds like you've got a great family work balance going on.
I do, but I think that a big piece of that too was for me, again, following the astrology. I knew when I was coming out that I was in the more fall and awake times of my progressed lunar phases. So I said, okay, I'm in my, at the time, full moon time, and then I'll be going through disseminating. And I knew when disseminating came, I really wanted to make a name for myself and officially come out and talk and teach and put out content so that as the winter time came, and
Mhm.
I needed to handle that, that I would be able to. And a piece of that was moving. I said, I need to live someplace softer to me
Yeah.
while I unwind my life. And my husband and I are only 28 days apart. So we experience our life genuinely in our transits together.
Yeah.
So I said,
Yeah.
we need a lot of time for whatever's going to be revealed here. The kids were going to be finishing school. So it was intentionally built like this. Like
Mhm.
life didn't always look like this. During the disseminating time, girl, oh my God, I had on 10 different outfits a day and my eyelashes were up to here and I was running and going and talking and doing. And I'm a mercurial energy. I loved it. It was so good, but I was like, this is not sustainable. This is not sustainable. I think I saw 200 plus clients a year and I loved it. And I
Mhm.
loved it and I was awake and I was in it. But as my energy has become more quiet,
Mhm.
but I planned. I planned as much as we can use astrology to
Yeah.
plan. I did use my chart in my life, and I went, nope, when the winter time comes, I need to transition to group work because I'm not going to have all of the energy.
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
going to be coming to my midlife transits. I was like, whatever that's going to bring, and it brought all the things. And, I just needed time to do it.
Yeah. I think that's really beautiful that you're honoring the natural cycles of your life and coming into that more winter phase of your the progressed lunar phase. That's beautiful because it gives you that ability to share wisdom, just
Mm,
to step back and share the wisdom and reflect.
yeah.
Yeah.
It has. And as a human being, though, it's also been shocking. And I think that that has been really good for me because I coach and counsel with the lunar phases. It's my where I start everything and including the progressed, and I can walk with clients. But this has given me a depth. It's given me a different depth to go into my own winter and have the experience that I talk about with people because as someone who can go, and I'm a daytime person, right? I like being up and let's just push and let's do more and let's create
Mhm.
this, right? To have to slow down or to get sick or to get hurt, which is
Mhm.
typically what happens when we push on life.
Mhm.
It's been shocking and it's been a good kind of shocking for me
Mhm.
because I really understand this season to relate with another person now. Everything that brings the astrology just out of my head and into my body or into my life, that's where I get kind of excited about it because I'm like,
Mhm.
oh no, when I'm talking to another person and they're going through winter, I understand the head game that's going on. I
Mhm.
understand the doubt. All of these things now. So in that way, it is honoring, but it's also like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh. Wow, I've got a lot going on.
I know. But I think that's it's a case or it's a fabulous example of that as an astrologer, life experience just enriches your ability to connect with clients. And the more life experience you have, the more you can give. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really true. It's really true. So I'm enjoying it. And of course, I'm attracting all of these clients who are in their winter time. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, and I really do enjoy that because we're all not moving very quickly. And I'm like, I appreciate that about us.
Well, I think that's fabulous. And another great example of, but I think we do tend to attract clients that manifest our own transits or progressions, etc. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm in my last couple of years of just being a progressed Gemini sun in general and coming
Hmm.
into Cancer. So bringing even my progressed sun to my North node. And I've just been saying for this last couple of years, as this is closing in more and more, I'm
Yeah.
like, I have never felt so in alignment with what I think my chart was
Yeah.
here to do.
Yeah.
And that is a completely different experience. I hope everybody gets this.
Yeah.
I really do, because I'm like, wow, it's, I don't even have a word for it, honestly, but I'm like, this is amazing.
Mhm.
So,
Wonderful. Oh, you've shared so much with us, Stormy. So, just before we finish up, do you have any exciting projects or plans or anything you want to share and put out there and let people know about?
oh gosh,
Probably
yes.
lots. Probably lots.
I do have a lot. I've got Mercury high in the sky. You're honest at the IC. There is always a something exploding over here. But I do have a new book coming out, which is exciting. That'll be out in 2026. And it is all about astrofluency, getting people to speak. I want you to speak your chart. I want you to speak, read, and write your chart. And so it's all about aspects, because that's where I see people get hung up the
Yeah.
most. So
Yeah.
it is a 2 year work of love of every aspect, natally and natal to transit, and giving
Yeah.
people a place to start to consider, my conception of how these planets work, but then also to get people speaking. So that will be out in 2026. And there are a couple schools already who have added it to their student list. So that feels like such an honor for their
Yeah.
waiting
Yeah.
list. And I'm like,
Absolutely.
what a
Very
great,
exciting. Very
yeah.
exciting. And I have no doubt there'll be another book coming after that at some point. Yeah.
There will be, which is funny because my Mercury, I have said forever, like I love languages. I speak multiple languages and it makes me very happy. And I have requested over and over again to never need to write a book. And so now that there are more books coming, I just never wanted to do it. But the universe is kind and there's voice to text, because I found out what I don't like doing is typing. I just don't like
Wow.
typing, right? So isn't that funny how sometimes it comes to you like, what is the real issue with what I'm pushing
Yeah.
against?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that's why I voice to texted an entire dissertation, a book, another book, because I just don't like the typing.
Oh, that's absolutely fascinating. And it's just about really, it's just about thinking outside the box and doing something differently to get the same result. Love it. Love it.
Absolutely, yeah. And then there's the YouTube Academy and all of the programs that are at Legatia, which those are my passion projects for all of us right now, to
Yeah.
learn how to build your business. If you're feeling nervous about even coming online or engaging the technology, the YouTube classes are there for you to learn how to do it and not to waste your time also, because YouTube can be a complete waste of time if you don't have a
Yeah.
strategy
Yeah.
or if you just don't understand the landscape. So, you know, I'm really passionate in those spaces, so I hope a lot of people come over and see me and spend time over there.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. So thank you so much, Stormy. This has been a gift to so many people, I'm sure, and you will have inspired so many people in so many ways. So thank you again. And in the future, you can come on for part two. Stormy
Hey,
part two, part three, part four.
well, I'll be here. Don't you worry. I will come back. This has been great. Thank you so
So
much.
thank you so much. I'm just going to stop record now if my button works.